alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
But at the church,
Tawali man, what's up?
man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Do you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
I have no doubt it must be some bit of a good evening from Kampala City, Africa as a whole. That's our continent. In Kampala, as we speak, it is 7 p.m. and I understand that in Guyana it is rather midday. That's in the entire Caribbean. We are trying to dissect lots of topical discussions today, and we are glad that we have Honorable Flue-Bess from Guyana. And in particular, I am not alone. I am with my co-host, who should be in position to introduce himself to our viewers, and then he will come back to me, and then I will have to invite Honorable Flue-Bess, and then we dive straight away into the discussion. We are streaming live on our social media pages. That's the Alternative Uganda Facebook page, Digitalk TV, and a few minutes later, the very show will be on our YouTube channel. Rogers, say hello to our viewers.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, of course, if you're joining us from the Caribbean. And I think good morning for the
Yeah.
Americas, those who are joining us from the Americas and that side of the world. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Roger Suyawe, and it's a great honor yet again to have the Honorable today to talk about the number of issues that have been happening in the Caribbean and particularly in Guyana. We're going to look at human rights violations that have been happening. We'll look a little bit into, I think, the recently concluded local government elections.
Yeah, sure.
And some other issues as may arise along the discussion. So thank you so much for being with us. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Rogers. Honorable Flue-Bess, we literally want you to say hello to our viewers, but also as you say hello to our viewers, we shall first of all, before we dive into the real topic or discussion on our as it is on our poster, we shall ask you to give us an insight of what happened in the local government elections that took place on 12th June this year. Of course, I know I used to follow you. We were up and about. Remember at that time we told you that when we told you before elections, and we're like, when you come back, we shall hold you accountable. You have to account to us and the entire nation, of course, the Guyana and so many other people, on the performance of women. And of course, yeah, being a lady, did you perform? Did you achieve? So in that angle, and thereafter, we shall now talk about the human rights violations in Guyana. To you, Honorable Flue-Bess, say hello to our viewers and take us through briefly what
Thank you,
transpired
and
on
a
12th.
pleasant good evening, good day, wherever you are. To you and your viewers, it's indeed a privilege to join you again on this program where we can talk and deliberate on matters, especially that affects us here in Guyana. As you rightly said, we would have concluded our local government election. I must say that I am very happy that we would have achieved our objective. And in my community, of course, I was able to lead our people so that we can hold on to our leadership and several other areas of which I am responsible for. I must commend those persons who came out and cast their votes. You would know that you have the power in your hands when it comes to voting and making a decision that can affect you and affect the lives of your children. So I must commend the voters who came out to cast their votes. Of course, if more had came out, you would have seen more increases. And so we want to encourage those who didn't come out to stay the course and remember that every election you have the opportunity to cast your vote. It is important that you do so and come out and represent. So I must thank those who came out, and like I said, I am happy that we were able to achieve our objective in protecting key and important areas in the local government system.
Thank you. A quick one, at least from me. I want to ask you on behalf of all our viewers on whether, as a lady who happens to be in Parliament as well, how was the performance of especially young people, in particular also ladies, in the elections that you had? As in, if you could give us a percentage vis-a-vis men, do you think you are progressing as women?
I can tell you from the voters' turnout, I don't want to put a percentage from the areas that I would have monitored, which is on the east bank of the Demerara. We had a lot of young people came out, first-time voters, and women who came out. I can tell you a lot of women show up very early at the polling place. What you found for the male, a lot of them said they were going to work first and then come back to cast their votes, and some of them missed that opportunity. And when it comes to women and young people, I always seek to inspire them and encourage them with the importance of casting their votes and standing up for what is right in and around your community. That is very, very critical. And again, I must commend those young people and women who came out and cast their votes.
He should be having something for you, and then we proceed.
Yeah, I want to understand There was a lot of issues that you people were putting up, especially those of you who are from the opposition. You were saying, talking things about the voters register, a lot of this kind of stuff. How would you rate the performance of the Electoral Commission in the whole process of the local government elections?
Well, I can tell you the agency responsible for elections clearly shows that they are not properly prepared for that particular elections. One of the incidents I can share to tell you how they were unprepared. In my area, a container took 3 hours to get into the compound where it had to be lodged and stored. Why? Because one, there was a blockage at the entrance of that compound. And if it was a case where the agency had done their groundwork in terms of preparation for that to happen, it would have been a smooth process. But obviously, there was no groundwork done in terms of checking. In terms of the list, we will continue to call for a clean list because there are a number of persons as we were preparing for local government elections whose name appear on the list but they're deceased. Secondly, persons who signed the list for the governing party were already deceased or doesn't live in that area, so you had a lot of. So we will continue to call for a clean voters list, and there are a number of things that must be fixed by the agency responsible for elections in Guyana if we are to have free and fair elections. Even on elections day, persons were challenged in some areas. They couldn't locate their names on the list at the place of vote. It had to take some time, and then some of the persons they had working there were not efficient enough to give guidance. So in one area had persons backing up in a line as people try to figure out where their names were so that they can cast their votes. So there are things that must be fixed if we're going to have credible elections in Guyana.
What lessons did you learn that you think will shape the next elections? And for it to happen smoothly, of course, now highlighting a number of all of those issues. Are there lessons you learned you think you're going to put in practice the next time?
Yes, there are lessons that I've learned. One, it is important that people be educated. We have to put more effort into helping people to locate their names early enough so that when they turn up to vote, they wouldn't be able to become frustrated or all of that at the polling place. That's the first thing. The second thing, when you are an election agent or a person responsible for a specific area, you have to be on the ball monitoring everything with a fine-tooth comb, especially when you're dealing with this agency that is responsible for elections. You have to be checking in, you have to be monitoring, you have to ensure that all the T's and the I's are dotted so that you can have a smooth and a fair process taking place. You also, again, when you're working elections, you have to be knowledgeable of your different areas so that you can really help people to understand. In terms of the agency, again, the communication is very poor. You would have gotten one instruction as a party agent that this is what will be done. And then the staff that is working with them got a different instruction or the instruction came late. So you had in one case, some cases, you have persons who will turn up. You know that you are entitled to at least 2 persons in the area for you to count your votes. And then when you turn up, they tell you, oh, it's only 1 person because we were not given the instructions that we can allow 2 persons. And then when that is fixed, then you have another change in command of how things happen. So I must say to people that during the election process, we all have to pay attention to fine details, because if you don't pay attention to those details, you can end up on the wrong side of things.
I think you have.
Okay, thank you, Honorable. Now, thanks for that insightful, submissions about the elections and the rest. Now, we understand that on 26th, that should be Monday, if I'm not mistaken, you people try to mobilize yourselves to demonstrate at the DPP's office in regards to, of course, rape allegations and the rest. Do you mind sharing with us what, of course, that demonstration was about? It's been now a topic of discussion. You guys, you are up and down on the streets, demonstrating and, we protests, lots of things. Yeah, anything?
And you, just a little bit to add on. I saw, apparently there had been, I think, some allegations to the misconduct of this particular minister who is now alleged to have raped a particular young lady, a 16-year-old lady. What has been the whole issue? What is the developing issue about all of this issue?
Well, on that issue, I can tell you that as a woman, as an educator, it is very disheartening to see the manner in which this particular incident is being dealt with. As I would have said in several social media comments, and wake up and decided that this minister raped me. This child did not do that. This child came out and made a public statement in her writings on what transpired. Any responsible government, you see it around the world, when you have elected officials accused or names are being called in certain behaviors, you would see the government taking steps to have these persons removed. But in Guyana's case, this allegation came out, and days after, it took for the said person to ask for administrative leave. Oh, come on. Where is the love for our children? Where is the love for our children? Where is the protection for our children? Why is it that the government, the president didn't act immediately and said, you know what, this minister will be sent on leave or will have to step down until further investigation because we're dealing with a child. This is an allegation made by a child. And what we've been doing is making our voices heard in the protests in support of this child. I could only imagine that this child, this young woman, going on social media and seeing this said minister very active, seeing him visiting communities, and knowing that the possibility exists that what she has experienced, another child may experience. Any responsible government would have that minister removed until the investigation is completed. But what we had in this case, he applied for leave. So he still seems to be the hero of the entire story, while the nation awaits justice for a child. And we're hearing all sorts of things about political interference in the matter. There's no political interference. This is an issue that has to do with a child. And because of that, you must pay attention. Our Constitution says the best interest of the child shall be the primary consideration in all judicial proceedings. And we're not seeing that happening. You're just hearing the people saying this, people saying that, and things are taking a long time. I could imagine the fear that child is going through to think that the possibility exists that this said minister can turn up in our community again or turn up somewhere where she is and how it can affect her psychologically. So we are calling on the administration to do the right thing. And you know, this is not the first time this minister name is being called in such behaviors. And that should tell you a volume of things. This said minister was in Parliament addressing my fellow female MP about use of a dildo in the Parliament. And we wrote about it, asking for him to be removed, to be disciplined, and nothing happened. So now it's out there in the public, and again, it is the responsibility of all of us to come out and speak against this ill. When you're an elected official, you're elected to serve people with respect, with dignity, not to take advantage of the innocent because of your position, and that's what we're seeing here.
I saw there was a case that was taken to the courts of law. I think even There's a case that is going on, as far as I read in some of the news.
Maybe
Why is it that the justice system is not taking its own course? Does it necessarily mean people must protest every day?
Honorable, also take this as well. My concern also, I want to also highlight about the principle of that presumption of innocence. Aren't you people trying to push hard to already, it's like you are already prejudging this honorable minister, rather than perhaps giving the law time to take its course? Aren't you prejudging and making, making conclusions? Do you have any comments to that regard? No. Do you seem to suggest
I wouldn't
that the
say
DPP's
that we
chambers
are
not working expeditiously to try this minister?
Okay. I wouldn't say that we are prejudging. I'm saying he is an elected official, and it is not the first time his name is being called in such behavior. It's not the first time, and if this is a repeated thing you're hearing about this individual, then it is the responsibility of the government to have him removed and until further investigations is completed and all of that. That is what we're seeing. It's not the first time you're hearing him, and then you see his conduct in the parliament where he attacked a female MP with the use of his language and the use of a dildo. That speaks volume about his behavior. So now that this allegation has come up against him, it shouldn't cause them to stumble as to what to do. This is somebody that was fingered before in similar allegations, and therefore they should take steps to have him step down until it is completed.
Now, in regards to your legislative arm of government, that's Parliament, where you sit, and of course with your leader of opposition, Honorable Aubrey Newton, I want to ask, have you tried to move a motion in regards to having this minister censured as you await the DPP's process?
She's sitting for the longest while. And in terms of him, when he had made a comment about the use of the dildo in the parliament, we would have taken steps to do submission to the parliament in terms of dealing with this minister. And like I said, nothing has happened, and that is well over 6 months, almost a year. So we will do what we have to do in the parliament and push as much as we can. But again, we hardly having parliamentary sittings, and many times when we bring issues, it takes a very long time before it gets to the floor.
Something to ask, but maybe before he comes, he comes through, I want to ask you on whether you would consider that 26th June demonstration a success. Do you think it did achieve the purpose for which you people planned and executed it?
The protest? Yes. Yes, it is achieving its objective. They are paying attention, but our ultimate objective is to have that minister removed. And so we will keep at it until we get there.
My co-host, and then most likely we shall now dive into the... You have anything, Rogers?
Yeah, I think it's mostly about the current issue of discussion about the human rights violations, and I think it's fair that we have our person in the control room to play a short video of a gentleman, of a gentleman who was being tortured by the security because it did not really look like a good thing to do.
Got there to protect and serve.
Okay, there's one I do not know. Maybe we'll have it another time about a particular individual. The police officer was like putting a knee on his neck, and they were like dragging him on the ground. It didn't look like a good place to be. What is going on? What's all of this?
You know, human rights give all of us as human beings certain rights. It guides our behavior, our actions. In Guyana, we have a constitution that says that every person in Guyana is entitled to the basic right to be happy, creative, and productive life, free from hunger, ignorance, and want. And it speaks to all of us as Guyanese enjoying certain basic freedom and certain rights. Our human rights law tells us some basic rights, and I just want to highlight about 4 or 5 of them, and then I will elaborate. We have a right to life. You just mentioned the video that is showing the police officer with his knees on a man's neck. That incident sometime yesterday, and it was brought to my attention in the evening. And I'm thinking, like many other persons, suppose now he had placed his knees on that man's neck, like we were seeing in the night, and he would have lost his life. So these are actions you have to think about. Secondly, we have a freedom from torture. We have a freedom from inhumane treatment. The video you just showed is showing how an individual, a father, his children were right there. His family was right there, looking at what was happening to him. And so we see that there's no freedom from torture and inhumane action in Guyana. We have a right to equal treatment of the law. That said individual that you saw wrapped around that post was actually locked up for about 4 days or days at the station. Although he was treated in that manner, he wasn't even afforded medical attention. We have an equal right to the freedom of our thoughts, our religion, our opinion, and our expression. That's basic human rights freedom. Something is affecting us. We must be able to express ourselves about what is happening. But in Guyana, we're having serious disease with that, with this current administration. We have a right to our social services, be it education, health, community development, and all of that. But we're seeing that being destroyed. And we have a right to education and work. You got the video. These acts is what many ordinary Guyanese are enduring by this PPPC government. You know, in relation to the first video that you showed, with the man around, his hands around the post, I want to talk about that. That individual is one of the individuals where you see the machine lashing down the homes of the people. He was out there protesting and calling for justice, and that's at Hillfoot on the Suzycle Indian High. And in his bid to get justice, he is treated in an inhumane manner. And it is the state resource that is carrying out these actions, the police. What can liken what is happening to Guyana, in Guyana, when it comes to how the current regime is operating? It's like when you have a natural disaster, hurricane come, and sweep everything out, and then you're left there in need of aid and help. That is what is happening to several persons in Guyana. That is what happened to the people at Caneview in Mocha, where the families' homes were destroyed. 20 children were affected. They still have not settled their lives as yet. The same thing happened at Success on the East Coast, where the flood the people whilst they're there in the evening, and then you have a whole lot of problem the next day. Children were affected again. You have at Hillfoot, just less than a month ago, where they broke down several homes, and we have 43 children without any proper home. And we see that actions repeated again yesterday at Ideal on the highway and for other areas. From time to time, we have a regime that continues to violate the human rights of Guyanese. And it's something that must be stopped. We're calling for it to be stopped because every human being has a right to enjoy a good life, to be happy and to be creative. Now, if you have a government, you're living on an area for 15 years, 10 years, you've settled, you have your family, and you just decide to come in and decide in 2 months, this person must uproot and remove. You have no system in place. You're destroying their culture. You're destroying their way of life generally. You're destroying their economic livelihood and everything. And there is nothing that is put in place to assist these people. And so we're calling on the government of Guyana to desist from these inhumane practices that violates our basic human rights. As a member of parliament, it bothers me. I normally visit Hillfoot in the evening, and when I go, the pictures I sent you, I sent you some pictures where you see the people living under the sheets. Or there's another guy lying down under the shed that they hit down. Why? Because these people have nowhere else to go, and they have not provided an alternative. There you have it. There you have it. That is what these people are enjoying for less than a month. You see where the guy is sleeping and his wife is sleeping there. They have nowhere else to go, and the government, who would have briefly engaged them, said they can find places for them to go, and that's it. And for months they're there. Their children who have not returned to school because all of their school books, uniform, everything was destroyed. And there are babies, a whole lot of babies that are just there enduring the weather. And that is what the reality is in some areas in Guyana.
You see, why I'm so keen in, of course, I don't want to use the word placing you onto the wall to explain more, is to ask on whether you have interrogated the government, and of course whether you have had them speak out the reason for which they are doing what they are doing or what we are seeing. Because literally one wonders, for example, if there are such evictions, there could be some explanation by and from the government. What do they say that makes them do what they are doing? For instance, you might find that maybe the police was trying to arrest such individuals and maybe they are resisting arrests. Maybe. So what excuse what does police and also government say about that sequence of events?
I can tell you for the homes that were broken down in the terms of Caneview, they claim that they were building a road there. There's no road passing there. Those lands were taken away from those people for businesses. And it is right there with Bush. And the issue, the police there, I don't know if the man was resisting, but we've seen that we had to in the US where the man was asking for the knees to be removed from his neck. He lost his life. Are we going to wait for this man to lose life before, because he's resisting arrest or whatever it is? I believe they have to use different methods to deal with that. They have to. There's no excuse for that. We see the result of what something like that can cause. That man could lose his life. So you have to look at the different methods, other methods that you can implement that can result in you still having custody of the individual that you need. So I wouldn't find any excuse acceptable for an officer to be kneeling in somebody's neck. Something is definitely wrong with that. The government, again, their excuses for the people at Hillfoot. It's a private matter. This is what they jump out to say, but it's a private matter where the state resources was used to destroy the homes of the people. So how is it that it's a private matter And the state resources, the police, was used to ensure that these people, homes were destroyed, they're left homeless. There is no excuse. I can tell you that as a member of parliament, I always reach out. I call the agency. I don't contact anybody on no phone. But I call the ministry for which they are responsible, and I would air my concern and ask for whatever assistance is needed. Many times you hear, all right, we're looking into this or whatever, nothing. But that doesn't stop me from representing the people. I will continue to do what is necessary to highlight and bring these things to forbear so that help can come to the people. They're not interested in treating people fairly. It's all about politics and one set of people benefiting as against another. And if you check all the issues that I've highlighted thus far, at Caneview, they want for somebody. At Hillfoot, the arrangement is for somebody else to inherit the land. But the people who've been living there for over 15 years, 10 years, they're just being displaced like that by the wayside, and up to now, they are still living under those conditions. We went and built a plastic house for a family because the children, all of them got a cold because they've been sitting outside in the weather for over 2 weeks, no proper shelter.
Terrible. Now, of course, I would want to compare notes, of course, in Africa and also that side. And for some reason, we all know that development comes with such consequences, for lack of another word. What if there were rather plans, developmental plans to construct roads? Don't you think, even if it were you in government, that you would still evict such defiant citizens that perhaps may be defying development? Because literally, assuming that indeed there were plans to construct some infrastructure, and perhaps you have these defiant citizens, wouldn't you still evict them, even if your political party was in the government, for purposes of having such infrastructure constructed?
The first thing, if you want to remove people in the name of development, I hope I got you clearly. The government is expected to go and do a feasibility study to understand, one, the number of homes, the number of children that will be affected, and all of these things. If this development is so critical and important to you, as you claim, then put the right steps or take the right steps to ensure that when you are removing these people, they're returning to a place of comfort, not discomfort. So if you move in and break down the homes and you find no alternative for these people, what do you expect these people to do? What they're doing, they're staying under their curtains or zinc on the set spot because no alternative was provided for them to go to. None whatsoever. If a government is responsible, when it comes to these things, if people indeed have to remove, they have to ensure that they go through the procedure to ensure that these people are comfortable. Why would you have 43 children or 20 children homeless, not being able to attend school, and you're sitting comfortably in your office as a minister or as a government? You're sitting in your office, you're having your tea, breakfast, dinner, waking up on your beds, showering and everything, and you leave 43 children with their families who don't have no breakfast to wake up to. You destroy, and they destroy those homes when the people were at work and the children were at school. They weren't able to save a lot of the things. Imagine drinking water. They don't even have, some of them don't even have a container to store water. And the problem is, these people were living comfortably before the actions of the government to destroy them and not to think about the children that are affected in that particular incident or the different incidents that come up. So any responsible government will ensure that even if you're talking about development, that you plan properly and ensure that when you're moving people, not throwing them out, breaking them, torturing them and all of that, violating their human rights. When you're having them move from the area that you want to develop, that you ensure you put them in an area where they can continue to live comfortably. You cannot be doing that to people. It's not right.
Before I think my co-host comes on board, I wanted to ask you, you know, human nature in most cases is not also reliable. We have had, I want to use precedents in Africa here and in particular Uganda, where governments in Africa have compensated the people taking the money, and again, they do not want to relocate. Could that be the same case that side? That, yeah, of course, being in the opposition, that you may not be in a position to raise it and say, guys, people were compensated, but they don't want to shift. Because we have seen it happen. Is it the same case that side? And then we shall cross to Rogers.
I didn't get it too clearly, but you're making a comparison with the persons that take up presidential position and they operate as though they're bigger than the law and all of that, right?
What I meant is that more often in Africa, governments have compensated the people to relocate so that government can have its infrastructure development executed and done. But these very people, upon using the compensation, they do not relocate, as if to portray a picture that government is as evil. Of course, when government comes on board, evict them forcefully, many people will not bring out the fact that, look, these people had been compensated, but they don't want to shift. Is it the same case with your country? Or these people are being evicted without any compensations?
That is exactly so. They're being evicted without any compensation or any system putting in place to deal with them. When the people at Hillfoot homes were destroyed and they went out and they protested and all of that, I think it's days after, then government officials turn up to give them forms to fill out, application for land. How can you be doing that? How can you be doing that? If in the first place you would engage these people prior to ensure that you know the number of persons and where they can be relocated, then we can understand that. But no prior engagement was done with those people. But you just break down their homes and leave them there to live under these curtains and zinc. It's not right. That's what's happening in Guyana, and that's why I'm saying it's a violation of our human rights. A total violation of our human rights. In the case of Caneview, they put out a whole lying epistle in the newspaper that they would have offered so much money to this body, that body, that body. The persons who did not remove, they have not set it, there were nothing in place to deal with those people, because those people are the people who got assets, their cattle, their sheep, the fowl, whatever it is they have, that is their source of income. Now, they have not made or didn't consider any preparations to have these people continue their economic livelihood and to relocate at the same time. They wanted the people to sell out or get rid of their economic livelihood and just move into whatever they were giving. And that cannot be right. You cannot tell an individual who is working and earning and providing for their family as a farmer to get rid of their farms and go somewhere where they don't do farming, they cannot do anything, and go and live. Even to these people, you know, when you show these pictures, they really hurt me to think about what our people have to go through. Those people actually got their farms, their little kitchen gardens there with pepper, lemon, lime, and all of that. But what? Because of what was done to them, they're not even able to reap those things and take it to the market. So that is how they're living. So they're not only without shelter, but they're without a source of economic income.
Okay. Yes.
I wanted to get a perspective. This same thing happened, I think, was it Mocha? Was it earlier this year or last year? Where people were also displaced, same kind of thing. But the government, in fact, we had a discussion here where we had some people from your government speak about it. But some people were commenting and saying that The truth is the government did compensate for these people. They secured a place and wanted to relocate them there, but people would not accept to move. How true is it that people actually did not refuse to move to other designated locations for these places to be developed?
It's the same place I'm making reference to, Caneview. It's Mocha. Persons who would have accepted compensation to remove from that area would have been people who really didn't have any assets or any economical wealth. They don't depend on the land for anything. Those are individuals who are working, who got their bosses. So for them, it's easy for them to get up and move because they don't have anything there other than the little house that they had to depend on. But the people who they have the issues with are the persons who had the economic wealth. They were self-sustainable. The government didn't want to compensate the farmer who had 75 pigs. The government didn't want to compensate the woman who had her cattle, so much heads of cattle. The government didn't want to compensate the woman who depends on her sowing and her farming to do whatever they had. So the persons whose home were destroyed, the woman who had the shop with the drinks, those are persons who had assets, tangible things. And that is what the government didn't want to engage those people. What they wanted those individuals to do is to sell out what they have in terms of their economics. The woman with the shop, they want to close down the shop, but they got nowhere else to take her to continue doing her business. And that is what's done. The farmer with the pig, they didn't have land to give him because the land was already given to someone that's associated with the government. So in their minds, what they wanted those families to do is to sell out everything that they had and go and take whatever they're giving. So, and they couldn't continue their farming. Now you tell me, would you want to give up your only source of income when there's not an alternative provided for? How will the family eat? How will the family live together and provide if they just sell out everything? There's no other plan for them. But now they have to go and look for a job. That's not right. That is unacceptable. And so the government was being in public and saying that they had this money and that money, and they would have engaged with people. They did not. You can't come and tell me you're engaging and having a discussion with me, but are you coming to tell me, sell out these things and I can give you a piece of land to build a house? It cannot be right. That's not unacceptable.
Where are these people now? Now that they have been evicted from their lands and what? Where are they? Where do they live?
They are just, well, those set of people are with families still because they have their lawyers, and the government, of course, doesn't want to engage people who can properly represent the people. They want to deal with people, the people like themselves. So if they say, you know, we're going to give you $2 million, that's it. You mustn't ask why only $2 million. But these individuals, they are still living with relatives and going one day at a time, trying to make ends meet until justice is served for them. We still have children who are very traumatized from that incident, because every time they think about the police or the grader driving onto their homes, it is very traumatic, very traumatic. The youngest victim in that incident is a 2-year-old girl, and you got to listen to her speak about how she feels about seeing police officers, and so if she sees police, she runs from them. That's the trauma she's going through. Now, who can compensate somebody for the psychological damage that you would have caused to them? And the same thing to Hillfoot. All those children, look, I met a girl the other day, I took some cornflakes for them. And she was saying, you know, Auntie, I still didn't get to go back to school, and she showed me all the books wet and parked in a corner, and she still can't find her uniform to go to school. And they probably had 1 uniform or 2 uniforms, but all was destroyed at that time. So these things is what the government needs to think about. It's not just about moving the people. You got emotional and psychological damages that are done to people when you have the breach of people's human rights taking place, and these people have to live with it. And nothing is being done to assist them. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I am waiting to see the Minister of Health pay a visit to the area where they have all those children at Hillfoot. They haven't done that. I'm waiting to see the Minister of Social Services go up there to see the conditions under which they have left these people and see the need to talk to the fellow, to push to ensure that these people are settled properly. I have not seen that. I'm still waiting to see that.
I wanted something before I even forget it. Honorable, I want to assume that the opposition that side literally behaves differently from the opposition we see here. And I want to ask you, I don't want you to take it a personal question, rather. Save for making progressive, in quotes, noise about the human rights violations there, has your political party, APNU, done anything tangible in terms of providing relief to such evicted people? Or you are simply crying out loud for the government to come again and rescue them, rather than at least providing something, basics? Have you not?
All the time. In terms of support with their meals, support to help the children to get back to school, support for persons who probably would have lost their job, assist them in getting a job so that they can continue to earn for their families. And like I would have mentioned, when I got there, the audience saw that family living under the curtains, because I would visit. We were able to come together and get some materials to make them a bit more comfortable to have their own lands and homes that they can move into. So as an opposition, we not only make noise, but we do what we have to do to assist these people in helping them to be comfortable and to continue living until these issues are resolved. And that is something that I really find a lot of comfort in, that we can put our resources together to help the people. You know what joys it brings when you visit a community or an area and you recognize, like when I took, somebody donated some flakes and stuff, and I took it up for the children. And when I got there and the children can say, "Auntie, thanks for bringing dinner," or "Thanks for the food." These are things that we do.
So that you can give us some light on whether or not you trust the judicial process, where, as you say, that you have provided to the victims legal representation. Do you think there could be some light from your courts, given the precedents of previous, years in the same line?
We do what we can. You provide legal representation to people who need it and all of that. But to talk about how much faith or hope you have in the judicial system in Guyana, there isn't much to speak about. It's always a foot dragging along the lane. You go wrong, you come around, and that's how it goes. And that frustrates people. When they had those guys locked up for much days at the station, you lock them up in the station because you have the authority as the officers to keep them 72 hours, right? But they're the only breadwinner for the family. So it means in 72 hours, the family won't have much to eat. There's no other source of income because the breadwinner is locked up at the station for 72 hours because you can keep them for 72 hours. So when it comes to equal treatment before the law, there's a lot of questions, a lot of question marks, a lot of red flags, because a lot of people are in the system and they're awaiting justice. Years come, days go, months go, and nothing is happening. Even up to this morning, I spoke to one mother that was locked up. She said, MP, I still have to you still got this whole matter with the court and all of that to deal with. and I have my child to look after. So you don't even know how to operate. And so when it comes to equal treatment before the law, that's a very huge question mark in Guyana when it comes to Guyanese people having true justice in the system.
Okay, I don't know whether I can cross to Rogers, but
I think we are running out of time. I wanted to, and she did talk about the justice system. I wanted to understand, even for the gentleman who had police officer putting his knee on his neck. Is there something that is being done about that?
I don't know much about that particular incident because, like I said, it was only last evening it was brought to my attention. And I was very disturbed when I saw that knee. The individual that you see around that post, some of those men that were detained by the police, I think only one of them was charged or something like that. But, you know, there's much you can say about the justice for these people. You detain a person for 72 hours, deprive them of being able to provide for their families, protect their families, and then sometimes you turn up to the court. I remember we going to the court one morning for the case, and I hear the jacket didn't reach yet. So the people going back to the station, you know. These are simple things that ought to be fixed so that people can get true justice when it comes to the judicial process and the system. Even myself, I had a report on a particular incident, and I can tell you, for the local government election, and I'm still waiting to hear from the police. Nobody called, nobody's saying anything. They just collect the report and that's it. Nothing else. And I'm saying, if that is happening to me, what is happening to the ordinary man that continues to seek justice or help from the police? And that's where our problems lies here in Guyana.
we have 2 minutes to close this show. I want to ask you these 2 questions, and the first one is, in the event that you do not get justice from the courts of law, what's your next step? The other final question, which I will ask you that you precisely answer so that we can close in our next 2 minutes from now, is whether or otherwise your president has said anything. Has the government issued an official statement in regards to, in particular, that gentleman who is, it's more or less what we saw some years ago in America? Has your president issued any official statement, or the spokesperson of government? So those are 2 questions for me. What do you intend to do in the event that you do not get justice from the courts of law where you have gone, and also whether the president or government has issued an official statement? We shall call it a day.
I don't think there was an official issue on that incident where the knees were seen on the person's neck. I haven't seen anything as yet. And when it comes to the system, what we need to do is get into government and show them how the system ought to work. That's our focus. We have to become the government and take control of these systems and ensure that they work in the interest of our people, because that's what we were elected to do, serve the people in the interest of the people, not to hold on to the resources for ourselves. So I thank you.
My question, precisely, maybe in 40 or so seconds, what do you intend to do in the event that you do not get justice from court? About the
what? Okay.
Plans
with the court.
In the event that you don't get justice from court in regards to those evictions and other human rights violations.
Okay, if we don't get, we will continue to work. I can't tell you all the plans out there because we wouldn't want the enemy to know them. But we will continue to work for justice, and I guarantee once we work, we will get the justice that we so desire.
I had an opportunity to read some of the messages. I don't know whether there is any. We have run out of time. Just to say, wish you best of luck. Of course, I think it's 1 p.m. in Guyana. and in Africa, in Uganda in particular, it's 8 p.m. Let's wish you well for now, and of course, we continue praying for you people, and perhaps when you are in government, that you want to do what PPP is doing. God bless you all for now.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.